For some people, it's the pursuit of wealth, influence, and notoriety. For me, it's the pursuit of guitars, music, and the occasional Cuban cigar. There's two things that I think, one good and one bad, about social media. One, the positive. The positive is with it's basically free. You know, you could sign up for it, and you start with the first follower, and you get as many as you can, and hopefully they're real followers that are just interested in what you're doing, and you know, participate, and you could market yourself and get out there to the entire world without actually having to get out there and be in the entire world. So, you know, there's some people that have just made great careers being YouTube players, and all of a sudden, you know, they can go pack a place in Japan. You're like, well, how do they figure out about me? Well, they watch me on YouTube. You know what I mean? Or they watch me on Instagram for 1 minute. Now that's the positive side of it. The positive side is the ability to get out there and network and market yourself to the entire globe, to like-minded individuals from Tokyo to Barcelona to Moscow to South Africa to Lincoln, Nebraska. Everybody, there's always a guitar fan somewhere that I found. The negative is, what that does is, as you grow in profile and as you surpass your 10,000 hours, as you surpass your 20,000 hours, all of a sudden, Les Paul Lover 59 thinks they have as much to say and as loud a voice as you do, but you've put in 20,000 hours, and they just sit there and they participate as a viewer. And they try to start pile-ons, and they troll, and they go negative, and they attack people for what they, A, don't have any concept of what's going on, B, don't have the wherewithal to even try it, or the balls to do it in the first place. That, to me, is really, now everybody doesn't have to agree with you, and not everybody doesn't have to like it. Then just shut it off. There's no reason to go on somebody's, you know, page or their feed or whatever, and try to tear down their hard work, whether you agree with it or not. And it's in the forum cultures, it's in the comment pages, and it's in just about every aspect of our society. The reality is people that are somewhere in this business have worked extremely hard, and nobody's been handed anything, and they continue to work extremely hard. Now, whether you like that particular kind of music or not shouldn't matter to you at all, because it doesn't take away from the hard work and the dedication that they had to get to where they are. So my opinion is, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. You don't have to like it. It's a bit of stunt guitar, though. It's a bit of, and I'm as guilty of it as well. You get 1 minute to just rip anything that comes to mind. Well, that's cool, because it's stunt guitar. It's like Evel Knievel jumping the fountain at Caesar's Palace. Okay, me included. I don't hear a song anywhere. You know, I don't hear the next Layla coming out of him. You know, it's one of the things is being able to play is the first step. Putting an act together, a set of tunes, whether you write them or not, and being able to connect to an audience. Those are the other 3 steps that are required for it to be an entire package. And because if you have 60,000 followers or 60 million followers, it doesn't matter, or 6,000 or 600 or 6. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if you have the enthusiasm and the ability to put together an act that drives in its own lane, has its own sound, and most importantly connects with the audience, then you can use social media to your own to a great advantage. I know musicians, songwriters in Nashville that have had 25, 30 million spins on Spotify or Pandora or wherever they think, and then it got a check as a principal writer for the song, $750. Now you tell me how that pays the bills. Good for the consumer. I'm not going to argue with that. But the minute they are now systematically telling people that creativity and artwork is free, devaluing it, keep devaluing it, and then they go back retroactively, say we paid you too much last year. Really, you paid us too much. You got an $8 billion company, basically off the broken backs of the songwriters and the musicians and the people that play on the records and the producers and everything else like that. You got this $1 billion valuation, and you're sitting there in Silicon Valley going, wow, we just built the better mousetrap for everyone. And you're telling me that by paying the songwriters and musicians basically Shylock rates, you're better off borrowing the money from the Russians on Santa Monica Boulevard. Okay, you're telling me that's better? And you're telling me you paid us too much? When the last time I checked, producing a record costs exactly the same as it did in 1990. The studio time costs exactly the same as it did in 1990. The musicians cost exactly as much as they did in 1990. And the physical product costs about as much as it did back in the day. So you tell me how that actually helps. Oh, well, you got 50 million spins. Maybe you get a clothes company to give you a free pair of jeans and they'll sponsor your Instagram page. If you want to go down that road, that's fine. And I know people monetize that lifestyle, but that's the Kardashianification of music. And that to me doesn't work. It doesn't work long term because the bottom's going to fall out. People can't afford to record. You know, if they're gonna get, you know, a check for $88, you know, for would have been, if it was terrestrial radio, be in the tens of thousands. You know what I mean? For the same amount of plays. I don't see how that works long term. You make more with less. You basically have to truncate your business and scale your business to where it makes sense. Like, you know, like when you go out on a tour, you have to budget a tour. You have to know how to budget a tour. You have to know how to stay on that budget, and you have to plan for, oh my God, something's going to cost more than I think, because it's always going to cost more. You're going to get hit for something. And independently, you know, you have to never let down, never stop the marketing. You have to advertise yourself. You have to go put yourself in front of folks, put yourself online, put yourself and advertise. And if you're able to sell some records, put the money back into the marketing. Don't just go, I just got a windfall and now I'm on Easy Street. Well, you take some and make sure your light bill's paid, but you want to then double down and go, no, I'm going to try to market this a little to more people. And that is one of the few positive things about Spotify and Pandora and all those streaming sites is the fact that you are discovered through other people's networking. That's the one positive thing that comes from that. There's a lot of negatives as well. We had a guitar program in our school when I grew up. Started in the 3rd or 4th grade. And this is back when there was public funding, was a little bit more ample for music and the arts. We had 2 music teachers. We had an elementary school music teacher, and we had a high school music teacher. And both schools were all amalgamated. It wasn't separate. And there was a guitar program, and it started in 3rd and 4th grade. And now this was 30 years ago or more. This is when I was 7 or 8 years old, so it's more than that. It's 35 years ago. And as we saw, public funding for music programs in schools has degraded to the point where either they're shutting them down and they're mostly test-taking factories. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's and sometimes you lose sight of why or what makes education great. It's the diversity of what you're learning. Maybe you won't be a professional guitar player, but having music in your lives, or having some sort of music in your lives, is critically important for other things. It widens your your input list, and your vocational vocabulary is much greater. So the problem is that you can't rely on the city, local, or state, federal governments. That they're just squeezed for as far as they can. So we said, just took it upon ourselves, and we started this thing called the Keeping the Blues Alive Foundation. And we give out money, we raise money, and we give out money to schools on a weekly basis. And we don't care if they're going to use it for blues, but it doesn't matter. It's music is the thing. We've done these blues cruises now 5 years, and initially I was a little bit like, I'm not sure if anybody's going to show up for this. But as we got booked, we booked people for them, and you know, it created like this little community. And at first, it just was a list of just the people I respected and liked, and friends of mine, and just, I was like, well, if nobody shows up, well, at least we're going to hang, you know. And now it's our 5th year, sold out, and now we're doing 2 of them. And you know, it's important because it also gives a platform for me to somebody else's audience, and vice versa. You know, like we've had everyone from J.D. Simo, who's fantastic, Larkin Poe, who's fantastic, you know, Tyler Bryant, all these guys and ladies, and you know, Josh Smith and Kirk Fletcher's on almost every year. And we have this community of artists that at this point, done it enough times to where people come to see the collaborations that come about. Not just the regular headline sets. Everybody's got a headline set they do on a Tuesday, but it's what formulates in that time on the boat. You know, it's like, hey, come sit with me. I no problem. It's because at the end of the day, there's enough room for everybody in the community. At the end of the day, there's enough fans of this. They just don't have to be my fans. Everybody comes to our shows. You see them, they go to country shows, they go to rock shows, they don't just listen to the blues. I don't just listen to the blues. Nobody does. You know, I know very few people that I only listen to blues music. That's unheard of, you know. So the fact that if we can help, if we can help out J.D. Simo get in front of an audience, you know, because I know our fans would love J.D. Simo. They're not going to not come to my gigs because they like J.D. Simo. It's specious reasoning. It actually helps build a community of folks that are, you know, they talk and they network and they go, check this guy out, check that guy out, you know. It's never been prevalent in the mainstream. I mean, other than maybe in the 60s, you know, or 50s. And the thing about it is, when I was growing up playing guitar, I had my heroes. You know, you had Stevie Ray Vaughan, you had Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, you know, B.B. King, Albert Collins, everybody. And for the exception of a few, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a successful blues guitar player, and we came to the realization that we are now of the age of the people that we idolized as kids. And there are kids that came up, learned the instrument through our playing. And one of the things that's most important to me is if you can just give someone the impetus, the spark, or just a glimmer of hope or motivation, that if they have the personal initiative, the wherewithal, and the intestinal fortitude, they can make their headway right through the music business and have a career. You can have a real career. It is still possible. It's not impossible. It's not easy, but you have to work hard, and you have to work hard on a daily basis. I like Marcus King a lot. I think he's fantastic. I like Joanne Shaw Taylor. She's fantastic. Um, Ryan McGarvey's great. There's a good amount of people that are of the younger generation that are going to keep this thing going because they have a real, I guess they have a real passion to keep it going, and they don't know anything else. Like one of the reasons why I'm still around, I don't know anything else. I don't have a B plan. I have a A plan. Never had a fallback default position. I feel a level of responsibility to give back, and that's why we have the foundation. I feel I have a level of responsibility to answer anybody's questions, good or bad, that want unsolicited shillings worth of free advice. You know what I mean? It's like if you have a question, I'm all ears. I'm happy to open the playbook. You know, because the playbook will work for others, and you just have to have the wherewithal to stick it out long enough. I'm proud of the fact that when we were written off by the music business in the early 2000s, just completely written off, like it's a lost cause, that because of the fans that came out and supported and then told their friends and told their friends some more, told their friends, the fact that those were the people that carried me through those years when basically everybody had written me off. And I'm proud of those folks for encouraging me to stay in it. Because, you know, a lot of people would have said, well, you know, guess the big old guy, you know, the guy in the office on, you know, at the record company is right. And you know, just because they didn't have an idea what to do with me doesn't mean it was a lost cause. But they certainly made me feel like I was a lost cause. And I'm very proud of the fans that come in day out to our shows that encouraged me 25 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was just done, one and done. Well, we have slowed down in the last couple of years. We have, and we're slowing down. I think we cut out 20 shows this year, and we're cutting out another 10 next year. And there's a point. There's only so many pitches in the arm, and when we do go out there and pitch the ball, I want it to be great. I don't want to burn out, you know. And because, you know, when we're doing 105 shows, 110 shows a year, it takes you 200 to 220 days to complete that, you know, straight, because you can't do 105 in a row unless you're going for some record. And it's the travel that's the hardest part. You know, it's the show is the diversion from that. You know, once you're up there and go, great. But everybody burns out, the crew and, you know, stuff like that. Well, we're going to try to do one next year. We're going to try to do another record. So that's kind of where we're at with the band. It moves in slow glacial pace. Glenn's got his own career that's doing great. Jason's doing great with his Led Zeppelin Evening. He's out with Peter Frampton right now. I don't know when this is going to air, but he's out with Peter Frampton. Derek's, you know, have the Sons of Apollo, which are doing really well, and we have our blues thing. And so that band moves in a glacial pace. So once we lock in everybody's schedules, and it takes, you know, we have to do it 18 to 24 months out, and then Glenn and I have to go write this thing, you know. So we're going to do another one, that's for sure. Well, it's going to be recorded at Abbey Road, and we're going to try this again because we were there ready to go, and our wonderful drummer Anton Fig had an accident and had to cancel, and so we canceled the session, and we threw it in January, and we're going to make the record in January. But it's done. The record's written. So it's going to be very British. That's all I can tell you. It's very British.